Hello music fans, it's Brennan from Death by Unicorn back with another episode of What's New 2022 where I talk about new releases that came out in the metal, rock, and prog worlds. Today I'm talking about 6 albums that came out on September, 5 of them came out on September 23rd and 1 came out on September 22nd. And I'm going to talk about them in my order of preference, starting with my favorite, which was by an Italian progressive rock band called Banco del Mutuo Soccorso. I might have said that right. The album is called Orlando La Forme dell'Amore, and this is their 15th album. They've actually been around for 50 years, but I have to be honest that this is the first album of theirs that I've listened to in full, as I'm not that knowledgeable about the Italian prog rock scene. The only other Italian prog rock band I recall listening to is Premiata Forneria Marconi, also known as PFM. I think this album by Banco might be even better than the PFM stuff I've heard, which is also pretty good. This is like King Crimson, Gentle Giant, and Yes, but if they drew influences from some more traditional Italian music rather than British stuff. My second favorite album that came out this past week, I'm going to go with Stratovarius and their album Survive. This is power metal. It's kind of symphonic and neoclassical as well. It has some progressive influences. This is their 16th album. There's some great guitar solos on here, epic power metal vocals, catchy hooks. It's for fans of bands like Symphony X and Dragon Force, as it's kind of somewhere in between those two bands in sound. It's not as progressive as Symphony X, but it's not quite as cheesy, silly, or fantasy based as Dragon Force, but it has a bit of that too, along with some guitar shredding that you'd expect from both of those bands. The third one I'll talk about is by the band Gaerea, called Mirage, and this is post-black metal, and it's their third album. I think this is considered post-black metal. I'm not really sure. Unlike a lot of black metal, I actually really dig this one. I find the compositions interesting in terms of the chords they use and the rhythms they have. The production is good as well. That's, to me, what separates it from the more mediocre black metal releases I've heard. And fourth album I'm going to talk about is by the band Space of Variations, and it's called Imagio. This is metalcore with some new metal influences, some pop influences, and it's a debut album. It's their first album, solid debut album from this Ukrainian metalcore band. It's very fun and diverse in its influences and sounds, so I recommend that if you are into the metalcore genre. Fifth album I'm going to talk about, this is the one that came out on September 22nd, and it's an EP by Weezer. It's continuing their Seasons EP series after their spring and summer release. Now they have their release called Autumn, which came out on the first day of autumn, or fall as some would call it. Really catchy pop rock songs here. If you listen to this on Spotify, note that it seems like they combined the 3 EPs, autumn, summer, and spring, into one album that in total now is 1 hour and 8 minutes, but each EP is really just around 22 minutes. And I am pretty sure there's going to be a winter EP released as well, which will complete this collection, having all 4 seasons. And lastly, I'm going to talk about one more album. Yeah, I think there's just one more. This is by Virgil and Steve Howe, and it's called Lunar Mist. And this is like art rock, I guess, with some electronic influences, some progressive influences as well. Steve Howe of Yes is the guitar player on this, he released this collaboration. It's with his son, Virgil Howe, who passed away in 2017. And I guess he found some of the music that his son had started working on, and Steve Howe added his guitar to it and released it. So it's instrumental, has some of the signature Steve Howe guitar. It's very relaxing and ambient and beautiful. I believe most of the beats on here don't use any real drums, though. They sound a bit like Fruity Loops, which is okay, but not great. I prefer hearing Howe's guitar playing over a real drum sound. I think it would have been pretty cool if they got some real drums on a lot of these songs. But everything that came out this week that I listened to, that was everything. It was all pretty solid. Decent week. Nothing that really blew me away, but everything was pretty decent. And that's it for today. Until next time, peace out.